I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do now.
You have to go to the real world.
I've never spoken to my son about going to school.
Did Joe Biden actually speak to his son? Well, the FBI may have something to say about that. Climate extremists, enthusiasts, radicals, whatever you want to call them, are out in force recently, and the proper way to drag them off the street coming up. Also, I went and saw the Barbie movie yesterday, and I have some thoughts. Might surprise you what to think about it. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. On today, it is Monday, July 24th, year of our Lord 2023. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Yesterday at about 6:30, my wife decided that she wanted to go see the Barbie movie, so we went, and I have some thoughts that are probably not the typical, conservative talking points. I'm going to get to that up front, but also, you got to stick around for the whole Joe Biden thing and the FBI, and did they or did they not already corroborate a story about a bribery charge with Hunter and Burisma and all of that sort of stuff? And the whole climate stuff is getting kind of interesting, and would like to make light of it in a way that I think is entertaining and fun, and gives you some pointers on how to deal with the climate people if they are blocking the road. So we will start from here. A lot of people, I don't know how this is going to go. I would encourage you, if you really, really are not cool with what I'm about to say, stick around for a little bit. But also, if you want to see the Barbie movie, there are going to be spoilers, so go ahead and tune out right now. Here's the headline. My wife took me to see the Barbie movie yesterday, or I went with her to go see the Barbie movie yesterday, and I liked it. Thought it was a good movie. Now, that's not a reigning endorsement that you should go see it, because if my taste in movies it's not like the normal person, the average person. I like weird movies. This movie is objectively weird. However, I think there is a huge, I don't know if you call it talking point, I don't know if you call it movement, created want to hate the Barbie movie. I didn't go in with any expectations. I had honestly barely heard about it at all. And I'd heard some rumblings in kind of the corners and the circles that I run in about this is the most woke movie ever. I didn't think so. And even though I'm not a big fan of extrapolating politics from pop culture, because in a lot of ways I think pop culture doesn't understand politics or reality in any way, shape, or form. This is a very political movie, and I don't think that it says a lot of the things that I think some people think it says. To rephrase that, if you went into the movie thinking it was going to be this woke, hot piece of garbage, that might be what you saw. If you thought that it would be this extremely feminist women power thing, that might be what you saw. In reality, from the guy who I don't care at all about this. I saw a pretty brutal attack of modern feminism. And again, I know this is crazy to be sitting here saying that. But if you can get past some of the more kind of artsy-fartsy type stuff that went on in this movie, I think genuinely that it was a pretty hard knock against the radical extremist feminist movement in this country. It was not an endorsement of that at all. I have some notes, and again, spoilers kind of are going to come through the entirety of this. But at the end of the day, I think it acknowledged reality and forces people to recognize with what exists in front of their face and not fantasy. That's what I think this whole thing did. Barbie Land is this fantasy world where everything is perfect all the time, and women are involved in every aspect, and not involved, rule every single aspect, and the Ken dolls are just wanting to be acknowledged by Barbies. That's how it starts off. Then Barbie goes to the real world and starts to figure out that, oh, the real world is not all flowers and rainbows. And the real world it has harsh realities that I don't like. And, you can go back and forth between what Ken thought and what Barbie thought. And again, I'm not trying to bore you to death with this. I'd like to get to the ultimate point here. Is that if you can get past the misuse of the word patriarchy and fascism, which do come up in the movie, and if you can get past that and you can just roll your eyes and move on, if modern feminism, which is, I perceive it now and how it exists in real life, is such that women are far superior and down with men, this movie did not do that in any way, shape, or form, at least I think. What I saw was an acknowledgement of reality and how things exist in the real world, and then a rousing endorsement about how people should view the roles and stereotypes of various genders. The two genders. Getting off here because I want to make sure I make the point that I'm making. The whole idea of being pro-woman in the modern hyper-extreme feminist world means that you have to be down with man. I don't think the Barbie movie did that. It highlighted in many ways traditional roles and how they can complement each other but aren't necessarily as rigid, which is something that I think is totally true. All of the Barbies, interestingly enough, were feminine. There weren't any dykey Barbies. There weren't any trans Barbies. There weren't any crazy woke nutso Barbies. They were literally all feminine women. To which, if you're going into this thinking it's an extremely woke thing, you might have missed that whole thing. But especially existing in the modern reality that we currently are occupying, the idea that there wasn't this huge variation of what femininity looked like. It was pretty much all your standard traditional feminine attributes. I thought that was a huge win. I don't know about win. We're not competing. But I looked at that and I was like, well, there's none of this stuff in here, which is fascinating. I thought this was great. When the Kens took over Barbie Land, they made a very sarcastic, satirical, but also pretty damning indictment of, let me get this right, casual, long-distance, low-commitment girlfriends. That's what the Kens wanted. And the Barbie dolls were like, this is stupid. Which, I agree. I agree with those things. I think men innately kind of want that sort of stuff. And without getting into the nitty-gritty of the functionalities of society and gender roles and all that sort of stuff, I've said a lot on this show. I think that women are the conscience of society. I think that women instituting more traditional cultural roles is not a bad thing. And the Barbie movie demonizing casual, long-distance, low-commitment girlfriends, I thought was great. And two, I think that is the job of women to do in society. I don't know that men are the best at recognizing the benefits of serious, committed, monogamous relationships. I just don't think innately men are. They should be, and I wish they could learn to be that way. But in so many ways, women with traditional values perpetuate the system that works, which is anti-casual, long-distance, low-commitment relationships. They also, I thought this was freaking awesome and not at all woke. The hero, I don't even, and again, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, the creator of Barbie comes out and like says her little piece, and she says that, she's just a grandma that wanted to make little girls happy and has an issue with the SEC and tax evasion. Can you describe a more perfect grandma? Someone who wants the joy and happiness of young girls and also is fighting with the IRS? This is great. I thought this line, which I wrote down, I think was pretty indicative of how I felt about the whole thing and how I feel about just modern gender roles as it exists. Again, currently, the feminist movement is you need to take over and you need to be the boss babe and you need to do this and that and the other thing. And there is an anti-traditional roles, traditional values thing. You can't, in modern feminism, be a stay-at-home mom. You can't submit, or whatever you want to call it, to the patriarchy in any way, shape, or form. And Barbie, the movie, the woke movie that everybody hates for some reason, seems to agree. I think one of the best lines was this: it's okay to be a mom. It's okay to be a mom who wants to be president. It's okay to be a mom who doesn't want to be president. And then goes on and on to talk about it is okay for women to want to be successful in the corporate world. That's fine. If they want to do that, that's their prerogative. And it's also okay, and we shouldn't demonize women who just want to be moms and just want to be stay-at-home. I thought that was great. Yes, I agree. So look, yeah, there were some misuses of the word patriarchy and misuses of the word fascism in the thing. And that just comes from a vocabulary standpoint. Just all right, clearly you guys don't know what those words mean. But even then, at the end, the creator of Barbie, when talking to Barbie, says something along the lines of, yeah, those are just words. Patriarchy is just a word. Life is hard, and patriarchy is a word that people made up to try and get themselves through it. Which, to me, I thought was a great line. So, at the end of the day, it is a weird movie. And that I think I said at the beginning, my endorsement of a movie does not mean it is a good movie for the public to see. I catch quite a bit of heat of this. I did not like Top Gun. It's just not. Which, I've seen it twice, and it's not my kind of movie. And so, if you like that, if you like the big, bombastic, cool guy movies, this is not that. It's very weird. It's intentionally overacted. It's the set design and all this stuff is crazy. I personally like that sort of stuff. That might not be the right thing for you. However, while this is not an endorsement to go see it, because again, I like weird movies, I do think if you can get past the things that the writers have said outside of the movie, if you can get past the poor vocabulary with the usage of the word patriarchy and fascism, if you can get past the whole Hollywood and their whole direction, I genuinely think the Barbie movie is a legitimate attack on the down with men feminist extremism that's currently taking a pretty big foothold in the country. At the end of the movie, I walked away with thinking, the message here is that women can do anything, which they can, including and not demonizing traditional gender roles and stereotypical values. Reverse that. Traditional roles, values, and stereotypical roles. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. What an interesting kind of piece of culture that's currently permeating. And I guarantee you a bunch of people that I like and hang out with are going to hate this a lot. I know several that already have, which is fine. You can disagree on this. This doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this does not matter. I genuinely think it was an attack on, I genuinely think the Barbie movie was a defense of stereotypical roles and traditional values. at the end of the day, if you want to go that direction with your life, which is fine. I probably spent way too much time talking about that. So we will move on to this. This is kind of interesting. This is coming from the Federalist Papers. No, not the Federalist Papers. The Federalist, the news outlet. Joe Biden, so we've all heard about the Ukraine, Burisma, Hunter, all of this sort of stuff. None of that is new information. However, it is interesting what's going on inside the closed-door meetings that we don't know about. Apparently, the FBI told the Delaware attorney that is now investigating Hunter's IRS tax stuff, it had already partially corroborated Biden's bribery claims, according to a source. Now, just to set this up, I want to get into kind of the nitty-gritty. I want to play this clip from Joe Biden saying that he never ever talked to Hunter Biden about his business. I've mentioned before that messaging has now changed to "we were never in business together," which is very different from never talking about it to never being in business together. But anyways, I want you to watch this clip. Just remember this as the Joe Biden. Well, there's a couple things going on in this clip. One, listen to what he's saying, but two, listen to how he's talking and how he's saying it. This is 3 years ago now that this clip was taken. And just looking at him then to now, holy cow, the guy has deteriorated. Watch this.
I've never spoken to my son about going to see him.
And so how do you know?
Let's talk about, here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of a president. You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader, if that's what happened? That appears what happened. You should be looking at Trump. Trump's doing this because he knows I'll beat him like a drum. And he's using the abuse of power and every element of the presidency to try to do something to smear me. Everybody looked at this, and everybody's looked at it and said there's nothing there. Ask the right question.
Isn't that interesting how, like, I don't know what the correct term is, alive he feels? Like this to me seems like a guy, he's wrong. That goes without saying. But this is a fervent, energetic individual, which is not what's happening now. With just in terms of how he's acting. But this is from the Federalist. So he says he never talked business with Hunter Biden, this and that and the other thing, and the IRS let Hunter go on a bunch of different charges and is now looking into, well, the world, Congress specifically, is looking into whether or not Joe Biden was actually in business with Hunter and what that actually looked like. This is from the Federalist. When the Pittsburgh FBI office that's briefed the Delaware U.S. attorneys on evidence of Hunter's implicating Hunter Biden and Joe. Wow. I'm trying to explain and read at the same time. The Pittsburgh FBI office told the Delaware office stuff. The article continues. The agents also told the Delaware team it already corroborated several aspects of the confidential human source claims an individual familiar with the briefing told the Federalist. So, the Delaware U.S. attorney is investigating Hunter on tax stuff, and the FBI office said, hey, some of this, according to this source, some of this, it's a rough morning. The Pittsburgh FBI office said to the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office that's investigating Hunter, hey, some of this stuff we've already found out is true, according to a source. On Thursday, Senator Chuck Grassley released the FD 1023 summary of the confidential human sources reporting that the Ukrainian oil and gas company Burisma paid Hunter and Joe Biden each $5 million in bribes so the then vice president would protect Burisma from all kinds of problems. Protect and all kinds of problems are in quotes. Those bribes were in in addition to the more than $4 million in total paid to Hunter Biden and his business partner, Devon Archer, for sitting on Burisma's board of directors. So we know about the $4 million. This $5 million in bribes is kind of interesting, and who knows at this point how legitimate that is. The Federalist has now learned that the Pittsburgh FBI office had corroborated several details contained in the FD 1023 as a part of the intake process that former Attorney General William Barr established before leaving before the election under the leadership of the Western District Attorney of Pennsylvania. It kind of goes on and back and forth with the nitty-gritty details. The bottom line here is that apparently the FBI, in the same way that they knew the Hunter Biden laptop was legit and didn't say anything, found themselves in a similar situation here with Joe Biden and whether or not he actually took money from Burisma/Ukraine all those years ago when he was the vice president. Again, paper trail, not entirely sure. This is kind of we're going on the word of an individual, so who knows? But also really kind of interesting, and I don't think it would be being reported, especially in the Federalist, without having some sort of validity to it. We will see how that pans out. That's kind of the gist of that story. I want to get to this whole climate stuff. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. The ever-changing story from the Bidens is fascinating, especially in this instance. To wrap things up, I wanted to get to this. I thought this was fun. NBC News had a hit piece and floods reinvigorate push from climate activists for Vermont wetlands restoration. Wetlands can play a crucial role in flood controlled by absorbing excessive rainwater and reducing the risk of downstream flooding. So what I think is fascinating is this. When I was reading this, I can be swayed on the whole wetlands thing. Hey, look, this is what's happening. When it rains, here's a contingency. It can store water. It can do this and can do that and the other thing. I live in California. There's not a lot of wetlands. We don't have to deal with the same issues that Vermont has. But couching it in climate activists doing their parts to institute policy. It's like, all right, everything that is any deviation from perfect weather is now climate change. The article itself is not really all that interesting or compelling. It really kind of ultimately gets down to the whole wetlands thing, which is entirely deviated from the climate change thing, but whatever. But I bring that up only really to show you this. There, for some reason, I don't know if it's a summer thing, but I feel like annually we get like this big cluster of stories / videos of climate change people sitting in front of traffic. Because that'll fix it. That'll do it. That you're gonna fix climate change by sitting in front of traffic. And because a lot of this, I don't know how seriously to take this. I always think when I'm watching these videos, what would I do in this situation? And I would imagine that a lot of people, especially watching this, would think, what would I do in that situation? And so with that, I want to get to this video that is making the rounds nowadays, now. I believe this is in Germany, some climate change people sitting in front of trucks. And with the thought in mind of what would I do in this situation, I'd like to go over some of the tactics of getting people out of the way for traffic to flow smoothly. Should be noted that I'm partly kidding and also partly serious about anything that I may or may not say in this particular instance. I want you to look at some of the strategies and tactics employed by these people in getting people out, and I do think there is a winner. Watch this and we will discuss in the meantime. As you can see, guy number one, they're trying to convince the people, which is never a good idea. Then they got got two guys to drag this dude off the road. The problem with dragging him off the road is he does this. He gets right back up and sits right back down, effectively accomplishing nothing while dragging him off the road. Now, if you look at the two gentlemen pulling, yeah, are they accomplishing more by only having to carry half the weight of that particular individual? Yes. What I do think is good here is that the guy in the black shirt is going forward. In the red, you know, if you're going to pull backwards, you might be encumbered by an oncoming curb. You're going to be using your lower back more. I would not recommend this particular form, but we'll continue on. Oh no. Let's make sure we play video. Hold on, we're having some technical difficulties because this whole thing doesn't work if the video isn't being playing with us. Now, when it comes to doing things correctly and effectively, I think it comes down to this woman in the green pants over on the right side of your screen. Check her strategy and tactic out. Grab the protester by the hair. Lifts from the side. There's not going to be any lower back tension here. See, and these two guys, they're pulling again simultaneously with the arms. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. You risk a lot. I don't want any of them to sprain an ankle, and the guy's just going to get back up to the spot. Whereas Green Pants Lady, at least for now, seems to have effectively removed her obstacle, which is that lady. We'll continue. So now we're tag teaming, which is always a good thing. So, you know, here's another thing, just a kind of a thought that I've had. This guy, if we watch one more time, dives in front of a truck. If somebody's going to dive in front of a truck, how much responsibility do you have to stop them? I don't know. I'm not a proponent of people diving in front of trucks. I think it's awful. And if somebody wishes to do that to themselves, that is a terrible thing. I hope they get all of the help that they need. And also, at what point do you have zero influence over what these people are going to do? We'll continue on. We go back to this. Now we've got a three-person pull. Look at this. Three-person pull. It doesn't seem to be entirely effective. You've got three people pulling, which is great from a disbursement of the weight thing. But as you notice, it seems like a lot of them are pulling in different directions. One's got a backpack, two have got the arms, and they're pulling, it seems, separately and away from each other, which is not, I don't think is a good tactic. Meanwhile, long-haired individual, I'm not going to assume her gender, but you know, that gets taken care of, again, with what I think is probably the most effective strategy. Green Pants Lady comes back in, employs, I think, the only strategy that has been proven to work in this. Grab them by the hair, and there goes the truck. So if you are like me and have questions of how you would do this, what you would do, it seems like the hair pull is the most effective way. I honestly don't know what I would do. It would be so difficult to not kick somebody because you have no idea what's going on in traffic behind. There's another video of a lady who says that she's taking her baby to the hospital. And if that were me going to the hospital with my wife and child, I'm not even sure if the brakes would get hit. Again, I'm not encouraging violence in any way, shape, or form. I'm more prioritizing how people live their life, or trying to look at the priorities that people have when dire situations arrive and you have Looney Tunes sitting in front of traffic. Yeah, I don't know. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Let's see see if there's any comments. Jody says they should have pulled them and then sat on their dumb asses. Yeah, the problem is if people are driving cars and if they're in traffic, I don't even, because you got to move them and then get back in your car and drive. I think I would move them once and then just at a creeping pace. I should have pulled that clip. There's a clip of an Austin Powers movie where the guy is like about to get there's a guy about to get steamrolled by a steamroller, and he's like 40 feet away from the steamroller. The steamroller's going like 1 mile an hour. And it's funny, the whole thing is funny, but I can see myself doing that. I can see myself pulling somebody away and then just slowly creeping my car until I got past them. And if they want to put their leg underneath the car and not move it, I think you have a pretty decent defense of like, look, I was not trying to harm anyone in any way, shape, or form. I just needed to go. And honestly, I don't really think it matters what your reason is. If you can say, look, I didn't want to hurt anybody, and they decided to shove their leg under the tire of my car that was traveling at 1 mile an hour, I think you can pretty easily say that this is no intentions to hurt anybody. Anyway, if you were like me and think about what you would do, I guess we thought it out together. And in the comment section too, there's a lot of people laughing. I don't know if you're laughing at, I don't know what you're laughing at. This is a very serious thing. In this particular instance, with these two guys pulling, I am looking out for their lumbar support safety. I don't want them to have a bad back. So take your laughs somewhere else. This was a doozy today. Appreciate you sticking around to get. If you haven't already, follow me on any of your social media platforms. Tickets are on sale for the Star Spangled Banter Tour with myself and Elephant Party, the improv group. We're going to Fallbrook, California first, and tickets have started to sell already, which is kind of, I don't know, it's early. Maybe there's an appetite for things that are funny and not so hyper woke, a show like that. So if you want tickets, if you want any information, you can give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. You'll be able to find me: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Getter, True Social, all of the platforms. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, probably same time, same place. And I say probably because we were on the wife is due any day now. So if I'm not on here for the next couple days, you could probably safely assume that baby came. So appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.